All you guys that have small personal brands and think you can't monetize them, I want to tell you, you're wrong. Likewise, anyone that has a massive brand and think just because you have lots of followers does not mean when it comes time to monetize them that they're going to pay you any kind of monies. In this video, I'm going to go through with you guys how some members from my Brandstack community have monetized their audience even though they have little tiny audiences. Give you some examples of what you guys can do to implement in your personal brands. So let's jump into it. Click me little Mikey mic up here. Get the optical spectacles on. Okay, so like I said, you don't need a massive personal brand to monetize, especially if you are in a professional services and you have a high ticket, high leverage item or service that you offer to your audiences. So let's jump over to the computer. So we have my boy Nick, who is a videographer for high-end construction and architect businesses on the Sunshine Coast. And 2 years ago, he had a vision of who he wanted to work with and why. So he needed to boil down his clienteles, and then he went to work speaking to them. So we can see here a bit of an example of the kind of content that he has currently and how that really speaks to that audience. And then along the ways, he's also started advertising to surf brands and motorsports. But the majority of the monies comes from construction. So what did he do to do this, okay? He was very picky about what he posted and who he posted he was working for. So you want to work with high-end construction and architects, you don't go posting stuff that is small time or not really pretty, right? You want to post stuff that communicates that I only work with this kind of customer and this kind of businesses, so that if you are that business, you can see that and go, fuck, this is the dude I need to speak to. You don't post stuff for just the sake of it. You're better off posting less and making it really, really good than just posting shit for the sake of it. It makes your brand look much more premium if it's all really good content. You want to be aware of, you may be some right-wing extremists and not posting really conservative or right-wing political things of like making America a great again, because the green-haired lefties will come after you and not be good for your brand. Being aware of that, right? And you want to be involved with your clients because them winning is you winning. As they're getting bigger and bigger projects, you want to be involved with them and recording that so that it reflects upon your personal brand. So when he was establishing his brand aesthetic, he didn't even have to use his work. He just needed to communicate the kind of stuff that he's going to be doing for his target audience. And that's how it started. When he was making his website, it started with this low effort thing here that I was very much onto him about fixing, where all it was just like a get in touch and some rolling carousel of some work that he did. It did not communicate high end. He then transitioned into a website that was very aesthetically pleasing. Everything on there looked high end AF and communicated that he was a high end service. So the first one being very low effort and the second one being high effort. It gave it that wow factor and it immediately qualified the customer if they were in the right place because they're sick. We are high effort. We are a wow factor. This is the dude for us. Now, what was the outcome for him when he did all of these things? And this stuff doesn't happen overnight, but when he ran ads, they immediately converted into paying customers because he had a very strong brand. It's now a lot easier for him to close because there's bulk trust because of the client's results that he has. It also sets the expectation of how much your services cost. He typically doesn't have the really small builders or people with lower budgets contacting him because you look at that and you go, shit, that looks expensive. I probably can't afford that. I'm not at that level yet. And his word of mouth referrals and collabs, which are like multiple degrees of separation in leads, they convert to clients way easier when they rock up on a really premium and well-designed small brand. It also reinforced his own ideas of this is the right way I should be doing things. And it could also prove him wrong and go, sick, I need to pivot to make this shit work. His brand reinforces what he says to his clients, which means it's easier to get them over the line and see his view when he wants to change things. And now a couple of anecdotes from Nick. Client. There are less quality builders having more progress, so now I want to keep up. So with his content, you can see he's like validating their fears, and now they want to keep up with what all of their competition are doing because they're winning more work with this high-end stuff. Your ad stood out that you have obviously done this before, which basically means take me there, daddy. So what does this mean when it comes time to run ads? So when Nick ran his ads, he only needs one person to book with him to potentially be a meaningful amount of money. Now, because he has retainer clients, some of these, could be $30,000 a year. So he needs one to be really worth it. And what do you know? He had 4 leads in the first week. Now that's a potential $120,000 because his service is high leverage, high ticket, and his customer is high paying. We interrupt this program with a message from our sponsors. Me! If you guys are looking to build your personal brand, I have a school community called BrandStack. This is for professionals and founders who want to build an audience that they can then monetize when they have something to sell to them. Along with the courses and pre-filmed content, the real value is being in a community of other professionals doing the same thing, and we can all learn from each other and network to get what we want from our personal brands. We have everything from creators to business coaches to doctors. So it's not just made for a creator community, it's also made for real professionals in the meat space doing the work. Check out the link in the description, and I'd love to see you guys there to stack your brand with BrandStack. Okay, back to the video. Now let's go over some examples of small using Nick's and Paulie's brands that can lead to a high amount of money. And also a example where I won't completely dox them of who they are, but how that didn't work to as effectively as these other two. So if we look at Nick, his Instagram followers at the time of making this tutorial, his professional one, VSNZ, was only 790 followers. His personal one, which is still videography, only had 1,125, and this is all only on Instagram. But the projects on the retainer range from $1,500 to $30,000 a year. So as you can see, when you convert your clients, even with a small audience like that, that can mean a serious amount of money. Now let's go on to the other end of the spectrum of a high follow account. This Instagram account had around, at the time, 159,000 followers. So that's quite a big audience. But they built a brand around martial arts, and then they launched a social media training product. These audiences don't match the product, right? Even though this account was able to grow their account very large, the whole audience was not built around building or growing social media accounts. It was built around martial arts. And a lot of the growth was being a pretty girl in a male-dominated sport. Now, the original offer was $44,000 USD, which, that's a meaningful amount of money for a lot of people. And it's hard to get people that are there for martial arts to want to pay that for social media growth advice when that's not why they're there. But since then, she's moved into starting to make money with a lower ticket price option, which, if you're a martial artist that may be thinking about growing their social media audience, could make a little bit more sense and be an easy ticket item to start with. Now, moving on to another creator, Mr. Paulie J. Art. At the time, he had 12,300 followers, which, is a meaningful amount. It's not super, super small like Nick. And he makes these wild art prints. It's amazing painter. It's so incredible, his stuff. But he was getting 1 to 2 big commissions a month and one to two originals per month. And these range from $1,500 to $8,000 per sale. Now you think about that, depending on your life circumstances, that could easily fund just from that your lifestyle for then you to go into further building your brand or whatever you want to do with that, This took 2 years for him to build that brand, and he's about to release a lower ticket item with just his prints. So it's very interesting with him going this premium down approach, as in starting with the high ticket item and then releasing down to the lower ticket item. So as you can see there, guys, you don't need a really large audience that when you come to monetize the audience, you can make a serious amount of money, even with a small follower account. You need a really high leverage and high ticket service, a qualified and engaged audience, and then the eyeballs will come when you run ads to that audience. I hope you guys got something out of this. If you have a story of having a small brand that is high leverage, drop it in the comments and let us know about your success. I'd love to hear about it, and I'll see you on the next one. Cheers.